And action. Welcome to another exciting podcast of the Action Podcast. We are on episode 41, and we've been jumping a little bit, but it's episode 41. I just looked. And today we are watching She Said, the story about Harvey Weinstein, how the reporting. We'll be talking about that. Our second film we'll be talking about is Spirited, the Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds film on
Apple Plus.
Apple TV Plus, Pete. Don't forget
TV
that.
Plus.
Yeah. Our third film that we're going to be watching is A Christmas Story Christmas on HBO Max. And the fourth is The Menu, which is number 2 in box office right now. I think I got to double check that.
Highly anticipated, the Menu.
Yes. And so with that, Pete, let's start with She Said. I'm really curious to hear what your thoughts on this one. I have some good thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I loved it. I love investigative journalist movies like like Spotlight or All the President's Men, those kinds of films that really kind of just focus on the investigation itself by journalists. And this, of course, is about the Harvey Weinstein and how that scandal broke. Which, as you know, started a massive movement, and apparently cleaned things up. Let's hope. It
100% did. I mean, I know. You and me weren't ever deep into Hollywood, but no. I'm not saying Hollywood's perfect. Definitely not saying that. What I'm saying is, definitely things have improved. Now, obviously, that's a thing, but it used to be horrendous, and it's no longer horrendous. So
it might just only be terrible at this point.
It might be. It might upgrade to terrible.
Just step up a little bit.
Step up, yeah.
So this was directed by Maria Schrader, which I think she did a couple of things, but nothing really well known. This is sort of her big sort of thing, and this is not a movie where you're going to go into it and look for cinematography and amazing shots, and I think that she did the right thing, like other sort of investigative journalist directors who approach these sort of films. They sort of just let the story and they let the actors sort of lead the way, and almost like Vin Scully. Like Vin Scully as a broadcaster knew when to just stay quiet and just allow the moment to sort of happen. And I think that she really sort of did that in this film. Carey Mulligan and Zoe Kazan were excellent in this film. And there was one line that really stuck out to me, the back and forth when one of the journalists was talking to the lawyer, and she was like, "Do you think it's normal that a man would have 8 to 12 settlements going on right now?" And he's kind of like, "Yeah, I do." And it just sort of encapsulated where Hollywood was in that moment, and it was a really sort of a powerful scene. But it was a really good movie. I enjoyed it, and
a lot of good points. Yeah,
you're not going to watch it over and over again, but I mean, it's a good film.
Honestly, I watched Spotlight over again. I would watch this over again too.
It's an important film, and I think you should see it 100%. It's great.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely thoroughly enjoyed it. People I was with thoroughly enjoyed it as well. Shout out to Lauren and John Bear of the Action Podcast. We saw it together. And they both really liked it as well. And so, guys, if that's 4 thumbs up, and usually we only give them 2. So, but Pete pretty much nailed it. If you like Spotlight, you'll like this film. I don't know if you'll like it more than Spotlight. Just Spotlight was just a perfect film with the music, and
it was intense. Like there was intense. You knew what the outcome was in Spotlight, but there was a buildup and there was an intensity.
Yeah, I would say this movie is just a slight notch below it, but I still think this is an excellent film. Only because, again, there's just that you're saying just the suspense level is just down, but I don't think it's a fault of the screen. It's just maybe the subject matter. I don't know, but it's just.
I have one critique, and you can after you're done.
But yeah, I thought the music was solid too. I liked everything about it. No complaints. Like I said, it's just a slight notch under Spotlight, but I think in a lot of ways, I think that's a compliment because, again, I think Spotlight was close to a perfect film as you can get.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
And this was I thought it just nailed it on so many different levels.
Yeah. I think, and you can tell me that I'm crazy, but I almost wanted to have just a touch more of the Harvey and newspaper interaction. I thought that that went really fast, and I really I've always wanted to be a fly on the wall in that meeting between Harvey Weinstein and this newspaper that they're about to break this story, and he's super freaked out and getting angry and threatening and doing all this stuff. Like, I wish there was just a little bit more of that.
I'm not going to argue with that. I mean, I don't think you're wrong.
I didn't miss it. Like, it's not a need,
Those
but
were like some of the more engaged. I actually agree with you. Those were kind of the more engaging things. I mean, there's I guess let's call it a spoiler just so we're not ruining it for anybody. I don't think it's a spoiler, but let's just call it a spoiler alert. So fast forward a minute. But there's like a really cool shot where they're just kind of going through like I think like a hotel room, and they're playing like the audio clip.
the audio clip. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I thought that was a really powerful scene. And I just think in general, like those, again, I don't know how much, I don't remember, I don't think I ever listened to the trial or anything like that, but I don't know how much of that stuff was more available, but I'm kind of with you. I want more of that stuff. It just brings it more real.
I wanted more of that. Yeah.
Yeah. It brings it more real, more raw. But again, I don't know if that's even like, we might be asking for something that doesn't exist. So,
Sure.
yeah. But it was a good touch. I love that they did that because it just,
Yeah. Exactly. Like, it was what they put into the film was good enough for this film. I think, just personally, and maybe a documentary will come out, like one of those like Jeffrey Dahmer tapes where you get to listen to his actual like interviews and stuff like that.
yeah.
Maybe something will come out. Let's hope.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, with that, go see it. Our second film, this was highly anticipated, and this is a very limited release. I believe like only in like LA, New York. And then ultimately released on Apple TV Plus, but it's Spirited with Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell. And I mean, I can't tell you how much I was looking forward to seeing this film. Now, this film caught me off guard. I did not realize that this was a musical,
Full on.
a full-on
It's
musical.
like every 5 minutes. Like,
Yeah,
I've only seen the first 30 minutes because I started it last night with my kids. My daughter is in love with this film. She knows Buddy the elf, so she's like,
yeah,
"Oh my God, look at Buddy! He's older." And so we as a family are looking forward to finishing this film. But I'm like 30 minutes in, I'm like, man, like just song after song after song after song.
yeah. It's
It's
like almost like
it's a
too many.
lot.
Yeah, it's almost like too many songs.
And
Um,
I'm okay with musicals, you know what I
Now
mean? But
don't get me wrong, but honestly, I think some of it's just again, it's marketing. So I'm gonna watch it again, and with my expectations now, I know what it is. Now I feel like I can just watch this movie without this expectation because, yeah, I kind of thought I was watching Elf maybe on steroids because Ryan Reynolds involved too, and I love Ryan Reynolds.
those two together are like comedy powerhouses.
So now that I kind of have that out of the way, there is a lot of funny moments in this movie. I laughed a little bit. Um, and again, with Will Ferrell, I'll be honest, and this has been my historical with Will Ferrell. I don't crack up necessarily the first time I watch him, and I'm one of the biggest Will Ferrell fans. But a lot of his jokes are so layered that I kind of miss him the first time, and then the second time, third time I watch is when I really love the performance. So, uh, I definitely think go see this movie. If
Definitely
anything,
with your families.
it's a well-crafted film. I thought it got pretty emotional too toward at the end too, and I think the story overall's good. You know, it's a different take on a Christmas Carol,
Yeah, it's a reimagining of it.
a reimagining of it. Yeah, and so the story is always that's always it's a good story. There's a reason why it's been done 87,000 times. Um, and I don't think this was a cheap production either. It's
Oh my gosh, the production value that I've seen so far
yeah,
is it's incredible. It's stellar. It
yeah.
looks gorgeous. There's thought put into each of these dance numbers.
Oh, the choreography is pretty exceptional.
Choreography,
I think it's the top guy. It's the guys that did La La Land and
yeah. But like
Um,
that at the end of that one sequence where everyone lights up, there's like green on the
yeah,
floor that lights up into a tree, and it's a beautiful film. I'm just not through it yet,
you
and
just
I
need to
didn't
know
like.
that it's a musical, and I think you watch it differently when you kind of have some sort of expectations. And so again, I'm gonna watch it again myself. But overall, I was glad I watched it.
Yeah, me too. I love those guys.
And there's definitely some good scenes between them two. And again, I liked where the story went. It was interesting.
Oh,
So
keep talking. I don't think you got one of these for Christmas, Paul. But since I'm a part of Mint Mobile, I got a Christmas card from Ryan Reynolds.
nice. Oh boy, Pete.
That's my dude. Me and Rai Rai are.
Yeah, you're pretty much business partners. You pay him, he
Dude.
takes your
I'm
money.
so in the business. It's crazy.
Yeah. Awesome. So with that, go check it out. It sounds like definitely you can watch it with your kids. It's definitely kid friendly.
Daughter
Uh,
loves it.
this could be a new Christmas film for you guys. So check it out. Okay, the next one. Definitely curious to hear your opinion on this one, Pete. A Christmas Story Christmas on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Pete, that
This
alarm
is
means the Lions game is about to start. So
Yeah,
we're
we
gonna
gotta
speed
hurry.
through. We only got two movies left. Christmas Story Christmas, HBO Max. Pete,
Christmas Story is a classic, a family tradition for us. We watch it every single year. It's
yeah,
on TNT like for 24 hours straight. It's one of the most beloved movies, especially for me. I love the original. I I thought that this not remake, but this continuation was okay.
yeah,
It wasn't. I thought it leaned too heavy on the first film, and to the point where I was only looking for things that made connections from the old film, and I didn't really care about the story at hand. I didn't care about Ralphie and his becoming a published author. I didn't really kind of care about any of that stuff. It was nice to see some of the old characters come back for nostalgia only. I think this was just a way to feel nostalgic about a movie, but I think they could have done it in a way that made it a classic like the first one. It's a good movie. I'd give it it's a 50-50. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. It's definitely not an instant Christmas classic, but it
no, but
was
and
it
I
was
think
nostalgic. It
and I think
was nice.
yeah, I think again, I think it's perspective, right? Like if you're going in this thinking that it's going to be better, I mean, it's not. It doesn't have the
I knew it
tool.
wouldn't be.
Doesn't have the tools, but I like where the story went. Um, I'm not going to spoil alert this one just because it's kind of early on the spoiler alert. But at the end of the day, I don't really think it's a spoiler alert because it's like just actual facts of life. And Pete probably knows what I mean when I'm saying that. But I like how they just made that kind of a focal point of the movie, and I
Mhm.
thought that was smart and clever because it is like when you think about it,
Messages.
how could you do yeah, and I think a lot of people can relate to that too, right? And I think especially if you're dealing with the same crowd, yeah, there's probably a lot of people that aren't in the same room that your Christmas was 30 years ago, you know what I mean? And so I think that's something people can relate to. And I liked that aspect of it. I love that they did like the memories again, like Ralphie's mind. And again, there's a lot I liked about this movie. It had just touches of a little bit slow, but I mean the Christmas Story was like that too. I mean, it's not like the Christmas Story was a flawless film in itself. And
No, it's just
yeah,
if you've never seen A Christmas Story, I think you will enjoy this film. But if you're such a super fan of the original, like we are, it's tough to go into it as sort of a what do they call like an independent sort of
yeah, but
non-biased.
it's not an independent movie. I
No,
mean,
no, no. I'm talking about an independent sort of point of view, somebody who's detached from
yeah,
the
no, that's what I
original.
mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. I don't. I think it's impossible to think of it as an independent film. Like who would?
right.
Like it doesn't make any sense because it's
Yeah.
a 30-year sequel, and
I mean, Ralphie was fine. He was nice, and
I loved
I
his
thought,
voice. By the way, I
yeah, it really reminded me of the original
he sounded
voiceover
yeah.
a
I was
lot.
like, I actually kept questioning myself. I'm like, wait, Was he the original narrator?
Yeah,
Like, no, wait, he
he's the
couldn't have been. He
original
was
in the
9 years
future.
old, but he actually sounds just like the original guy.
Yeah, he
And
did.
you know,
He did well.
and
And kids were
people that
cute.
don't know this too, let's give a shout out to Peter Billingsley. Peter Billingsley is a very successful producer. He actually produced Elf. He had a small role in it. He is like business partners with Vince Vaughn and Jon Favreau. They're all like buddies.
Yeah.
And so he a lot of their like big hits, he's the producer on it. And so he's done very well for himself. He actually wrote this one too, which I give him props. Again, I thought it was a pretty solid screenplay.
Yep.
And
I agree.
yeah, I think a couple things I think need to be tightened up, but overall, I enjoyed it. I want to watch it again for sure, and really just get the most out of it. Because again, I think the first time I saw Christmas Story wasn't like I was totally in love with it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it wasn't until like a couple times where I was really like, oh, this is actually pretty funny. This is funny.
How crazy that, with the exception of the parents, because they were old in the original film, everyone else was the original cast.
Yeah.
Like all of them, even the brother, the little brother, the two friends, the bully, even the bullies, the two bullies. Like
Yeah.
they're all the same guys, and that the second bully just came in for that one scene, and I loved that. Like he just came in for that one thing and got punched, and that was it. That's the more I think about it, the more I'm like, well, maybe I really enjoyed this film. But I think it has to do with just
I think
nostalgia,
but I think it's like the original where it needs to marinate. And I
Yeah.
think, again, kind of like the same thing with Spirited. I think it's a movie that needs to marinate with you, and hopefully you're going to watch it every Christmas, and it kind of just becomes one of those movies that falls in it. Christmas movies aren't typically like classics. Like Home Alone is like the exception to the rule, where it just was a smash hit, but that's not typical.
Elf was an instant classic.
No, you're right. Elf was too. But that was just, it's just a different movie.
It's lightning in a bottle right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just amazing.
Yeah. Awesome.
Right.
So in the last movie, Pete, The Menu, let us know. I didn't see it, so Pete, tell the.
Oh, you didn't see it?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
dude.
This is my favorite film of the week. This is directed by Mark Mylod.
Mark Mylod. He was a director on
Entourage, Shameless, Game of Thrones, Succession, all amazing TV series. And he did not disappoint in this film at all. 89% Rotten Tomatoes, and I totally agree. I would put it that high. Ralph Fiennes is in it, and he plays this chef who on this remote island who just creates these experiences, and each little delicate menu item, it's just so over the top. It's only like the richest of the rich who can like pretend to know exactly what's going on. And basically, I'm not going to spoil anything. Basically, the premise is,
because I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, no. The premise is they all come to this island because they're all rich, or they're foodies or whatever, or they're like food reviewers. They go to experience this thing, this event, the menu, as it's called. And he presents each dish with a story, and then they taste it. And then Anya Taylor-Joy's character wasn't supposed to be there, but she is, and that throws everything off. And so then it starts to become like a really, really
that's enough. Yeah, that's enough. I feel like you're only going to.
I'm not telling you the whole thing. So it is a thriller. The acting is incredible. The story is incredible. The way it's shot is incredible. All the side characters, because each of these people here behind me have their own different, they come into this scenario with all their different lives and scenarios, and it's really well done. Ralph Fiennes just crushes. Anya Taylor-Joy, who, I'm not a huge fan of. I thought she really did well. This was a pretty big role. She was sort of the focal point of the film. Go and see this film. It's good.
Good. I'll go check it out.
I might go see it again. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, make sure you go see our other films, and that leads us to the next one. So go see it.
Yes.
And then next week we have another big list. I've already started to see it. I've already seen it as this movie airs, or as this podcast airs. But Strange
Thanksgiving Day.
Yes. So Strange World is the top release. Big shout out to our Action podcast guest, Nalissa. Her new movie, she's a storyboard artist on it, Strange World, which is by Disney. So we hope to bring her on to help do that. The second film we were going to review is Devotion, which is a military film. It looks like a World War II film. I don't know anything about it, but I'm super looking forward. It's Korea. Super looking forward to seeing that one. That's I'm hoping to watch that maybe today even. And then lastly is Glass Onion, which is the sequel.
All the Knives Out.
To All the Knives Out. Yeah, so that should be pretty good. Good on tap. And then we have Pulp Fiction coming out. We have Die Hard, Elf, just to name a few, all coming out. So thanks. With that, guys, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. Follow us on Apple, Spotify, whatever your favorite podcast is. YouTube, make sure you comment. And with that, Pete, that is a cut. Thanks, guys.